Welcome. My name is Nick DiTomaso, and this is the Seniors Forum. I have two guests today, and one I'm sure is familiar to all of us. He's been on the show many times, and I'm glad to see him back again. And he is our Assemblyman Greg Ball of the 99th Assembly District.
Good to be here, Nick.
Welcome
How are you?
Show.
Pleasure to be back.
And
good to see you.
Chief of Staff, Jim Coleman.
Thank you very much,
Welcome
Nick.
Welcome to the show, Jim.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you guys. Greg, I noticed it. I've seen it, but it just occurred to me. You have on your resume, you have an R, a C, and an L, which meant Republican, Conservative, and
Independent.
And independent.
I, yeah.
Independent. I rather. And what I find confusion is that how do you blend all three together?
Right.
How can you be a Republican? Don't they have different philosophies?
Well, the R, the C, and the I next to the names next mean that I have the endorsement, or in the previous election, I had the endorsement of the Republican Party, the Conservative Party, and the Independence Party. But to be honest with you, I mean, if I were to define myself, I would say that I'm an independent-minded conservative Republican. And if I were not in politics, and because in politics you have to pick a team and you have to run as a member of that team.
I know the reason behind. I mean, political reason behind having as many letters as you can get.
Well, there's certain letters I wouldn't accept.
Well, yes, I'm sure, but I mean, there are letters that you need in order to win an election.
So when I first ran, I only had the Republican line, and the incumbent remained on the Conservative and Independence lines. And then in my re-election, I was able to get the Conservative and Independent endorsement. So that's
I told you that when I ran, I got the endorsement of the Independents.
Right.
I did get the endorsement of the Independent, but I turned it down.
Now, when did you do that? I did not know that.
Yeah, I turned it down. That's why they gave it to Vishnu.
Okay.
I turned it down for the simple reason that they wanted me to run in the primary. And, I'm on Social Security. I can't afford to run primaries. So I said, if that's the case, then give it to somebody else.
Right.
And they gave it to Vishnu. But
well, I'm sure Vishnu is very grateful.
The thing is, I'm sure he's grateful, but they don't comprehend that they want to believe that they got it because who they were.
Right.
But in actuality, it's because I turned it down.
So you're the kingmaker.
Well, not the kingmaker. I just knew the right.
In that instance,
I just knew the right people to get me that nomination. Right. I mean, let's face it. Okay, so you're a Republican, Conservative, Independent.
I'm endorsed by the Republican Party, the Conservative Party, and the Independence Party in the previous election.
Okay.
Yep.
But if you had a choice of one, which would you rather see?
None of the above. If I had a choice, if I were not running as a politician in New York State, I would be an unaffiliated or blank voter. I'm not. You're looking at a guy that I was the only Republican in the state to stand up and ask Joe Bruno, a Republican, to step down 2 years before his indictment.
So
I'm the guy that asked for an investigation of IBM for their offshoring, so they yanked my Irish behind off of the Corporations and Authorities Committee. My party did that to me. I'm the guy that has been in the wilderness with my own party because I don't support the corruption. I don't support the backroom deals. So I'm an independent-minded guy, but I'd probably be the fastest-growing party in America is the blank voter, the unaffiliated voter, and I'd probably happily be in their ranks.
But don't you think that by going to another level, that you have a more diverse people there, that's going to be harder for you to convince them of who you actually are?
Well, there's no doubt that being a larger district, it's going to be a little bit tougher to get my message out. But I've been working very hard for 4 years now, and I've been campaigning even outside of my assembly district. And my first speech on the floor of the New York State Assembly is me standing up and condemning that legislature as the nation's most dysfunctional. And when I did that 3 years ago now, people
down.
said, boy, Greg Ball's crazy. What's he talking about? It's totally fine up there in Albany. And come to find out, New York State is extremely dysfunctional. So I think as this campaign plays out, whether we have for state senate, whether we have a primary or I have a general election, you have a track record. And politicians, as you interview politicians all the time, they can come before you and they can dance all around this table. But when you pull out their voting record, they either voted for bloated budgets, they either voted for their own pay raise, they either voted for tax increases or they didn't. I have voted against nearly every single tax increase that's come across my desk. I voted against bloated budgets, and I've taken on the insiders even when it's been uncomfortable for me and put me within a political, crosshairs in my own party. And that's a track record I'm proud of. That's a track record that's going to sell well in this environment. And honestly, I look forward to getting the opportunity to communicate that message. Jim Coleman, my new chief of staff, who is a better talker than me and a lot smarter than me, and some would say even better looking than me. This guy's going to help me get that word out. Well, what would you say, Jim?
I agree. I agree with what Greg's saying. That's the reason why I joined his team. He's an independent. He's fighting for us every single day. He's thinking about the kitchen table issues that families are dealing with: unemployment, foreclosures, trying to find a new job, trying to send their kids to college. Greg's family, they built their own home. They know what it's like to be able to sit around a table and to decide on how we're going to cut, how we're going to get a part-time job to make ends meet. And that's what Greg's committed to. It's not about Republican or Democrat or independent or conservative. Greg is really an independent. Right. An independent voice, and that's what I believe in.
And I think I mentioned it to you also. If it were up to me, I'd cut out the parties. Not the parties, but what I would cut out is registration to a party.
Right.
I don't believe in that, because I believe that once you register in a party, you are being branded. In the old days, they used to brand cattle, they used to brand horses to show ownership. When you attach yourself to a party, you are being branded and you are attached to that party. I've gone before here right in front of the AP to give out literature, and a woman turns around and says, "Oh, I can't vote for that party. She says, I couldn't live with myself if I did." I mean, come on, we're talking about lives. We're talking about your benefit. For your benefit. Right. You don't vote for a party just because you've been voting for so many years.
Right.
Well, Nick, a lot of vote. Yeah. Nick, what really counts is when you think about all the different politicians out there. When you look at them up there in Albany, find those up there where the big party bosses on both sides don't like that person. That's Greg Ball. The only people that don't like him are the party bosses. And those big party bosses up there in Albany, but the people love him.
I'll tell you the story in private sometime about a story about that. Now, you went up there, you gave them help, and you did the right thing.
Every day.
And you were considered to be
the skunk at the party.
I lost the word.
The skunk at the party, right?
Controversial. You consider yourself a controversial person?
I guess, yeah. My mom doesn't think so, but my dad doesn't think so. But my closest friends don't think so.
I think that's a badge of honor.
You know what I take as a badge of honor, Nick? I take it as a badge of honor that I have upset the party leaders in both parties. Because you know what, if the party leaders were doing their job and they really cared about New York State and they really cared about America, the United States of America would not be in the position where we're in, and New York State would not be in the position. We wouldn't have a $50 billion debt. We wouldn't have member items out the gazoo. We wouldn't have the corruption and the scandals in Albany that we have every single day. We wouldn't have double-digit unemployment in the state, because it is very simple to balance a budget. You have to make tough decisions, right? There are no easy answers, right?
Seniors
but there are a
can't
lot
keep
of
their
simple
homes.
ones.
Greg's fighting up there for property tax caps so that seniors can retire and stay in their homes. You can't even retire in New York. Families and seniors are leaving. They're voting with their feet. We've got to have somebody like Greg that's going to go up there and fight for them. If not, we're just going to have more people leaving every single year.
So, I do accept it as a badge of honor that sometimes, even in my own party, it's tough to get those endorsements, because the party leaders view politics as a business. They view it as getting people in power so then they have more power, they have more access to money, more access to funding.